The regular meeting for Thursday, May 4th, 2017 has now been called to order. We will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Mr. Scott. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you today for your goodness, and on this day we just ask that we remember your words that it says, if your people who are called by your name will humble themselves and pray, you would hear from heaven above and heal our land. Father, we ask that you challenge our hearts today to be humble. We ask that you touch each and every one of us that are your people, Father. We ask that we reach out across the aisles, Father, that we are your people, and your people understand your word. May we love your Son and our neighbors as ourselves. We thank you today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Ingersoll? Mr. Barris?
Here.
Vice President Frank?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Farnham?
Here.
Mr. Guillory?
Here.
Mr. Hunter?
Here.
Mr. Landry?
Here.
Mr. Latour?
Here.
Ms. Mayo?
Here.
Mr. McMillan?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mrs. Truman? Mr. White?
Here.
President Guidry?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We have a few housekeeping items that we'd like to tend to right quick. For those of you that have cell phones, pagers, or any noise-making devices, we ask that you would put those to silence, please, during our meeting so that there won't be any interruptions. And if there's anyone that would like to speak on any of the items on tonight's agenda, we'd ask that you would fill out a blue slip in the rear of the room and bring it to Ms. Jessica, and she'll get that to myself and my Vice President, Mr. Brain. At this time, we'll move forward. Item number 4, take appropriate actions on applications for liquor and beer permits. Mr. Crane.
Mr. President, we have 4 applications before you tonight, and we recommend that
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Farnham and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Item number 5, consideration of approving payments of all current invoices.
So moved.
I have a motion by my Vice President, Mr. Brain, and a second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Item number 6, consideration of approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the police jury dated April 6, 2017. I have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. McMillan. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Item number 7, consideration of approving the Public Works Committee report dated April 27, 2017. Mr. Farnham.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Public Works Committee met on April 27th and discussed the following items. Item A, recommended that a resolution be adopted approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property and temporary construction servitude for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Item B, recommended that a resolution be adopted approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property for the Patton Street Bridge Replacement Project. Item C, recommended that a resolution be adopted approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property and temporary construction servitude for the Patton Street Bridge Replacement Project. Item D, recommended that a resolution be adopted approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property for the Nursery Street Bridge Replacement Project. Item E, recommended that a resolution be adopted approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property for the Corliss Drive Widening Project. Item F, recommended that a resolution be adopted approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the police jury and Sealy Radcliffe Swissco Road, which will allow the police jury to submit a preliminary access connection request to the Department of Transportation and Development. Item G, recommended that a resolution be adopted accepting a Bordeaux Estate subdivision. All of these met with full approval of the Public Works Committee, and make a motion to adopt all of them.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Farnham and a second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Item number 8, consideration of approving the agenda committee report dated April 27, 2017. I have a motion by Mr. McMillan and a second by Mr. Barris. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carry. Item number 9, consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing submittal of a grant application to the Louisiana Public Service Commission's Energy Efficiency Program for the replacement of light fixtures at Burton Coliseum Complex, Event Born Arena, and all parking areas. I have a motion by Mr. Scott and a second by Mr. Landry. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carry. Item number 10, consideration of rescinding the following ordinance with respect to the following properties. A, ordinance number 6738. B, ordinance number 6745. C, ordinance number 6871. I have a motion?
Move. All bullets, yeah, go ahead.
I have a motion on all bullets by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Guillory. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carry. Item number 11, consideration of approving the recommendations in reference to the adjudicated property sales conducted on April 25th, 2017. Let me read those into the record. A, 8400 block of Galley Road, Hayes, Samuel Watkins, for the amount of $100. B, 3rd Street, Starks, Ben Satum Jr. for $1,000. C, 600 block of Roland Patillo Road, DeQuincy, Albert Joseph Thomas for $1,600. D, 1210 Bankner DeQuincy, Lee Marcellus for $100. E, 121 Bond Road, DeQuincy, Lee Marcellus for $10,600. F, 700 block of Roland Patillo Road, DeQuincy, Luella and Clifton Davis for $5,700. G, east of Edgley DeQuincy Road, Benton, Samuel Wilkins for $100. H, 2802 Hazel, Lake Charles, Louisiana, M&L Fontenot Properties for $3,600. I, 2802 Hazel Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana, M&L Fontenot Properties for $5,500. J, 1200 Meadow Drive, Lake Charles, Lee Marcellus for $15,100, I'm sorry. And K, for 1911 7th Avenue, Lake Charles, Samuel Wilkins for $3,000. L, 904 Williams Road, Benton, Marcia Boulette, is that? Boulette. I'm sorry, Boulette. I was one of the other ones. For Boulette? All right. For $1,300. Thank you, Mr. Landry. No problem. M, 320 Vincent Lane, Sulphur, Louisiana Bayou Enterprises for $9,100. N, 311 North Green Street, DeQuincy, Lee Marcellus for $4,600. O, 119 Bond Road, DeQuincy, Lee Marcellus for $8,100. P, 4800 block of Lou Fairley Road, Starks, Samuel Wilkins for $2,800. Thank you, Mr. Landry. I have a motion on all bullets by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Latour. Any discussion? Any objection? Passes. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 12. Take appropriate actions on bids and/or proposals received by the parish purchasing agent for the followings. Let me take those one by one. A, proposal of one-stop operator for Business and Career Solutions Center. B, bid for 2 four-wheel drive SUVs. C, bid for one-ton regular cab and chassis long wheelbase dual truck with lift. D, bid for 1 truck mounted sewer jetter. E, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2017-03, overlaying of various roads in Calcasieu Parish, Ward 4. There were 2 bids that were submitted by Prairie Construction and R.E. Height Construction. The agenda notes reads, the parish engineering recommended that the low bid in the amount of $3,590,757.95 from Prairie Construction be accepted.
Move on 12 on all bullets.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. 12 on all bullets, and I have a second by Mr. Landry. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 13, consideration of adopting the Lake Charles Health Unit Access Control and Security Upgrade Project as substantially complete. I have a motion by Mr. Guillory and a second by Mr. White. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 14, take appropriate actions on terms of the following members of various boards, districts. We will take those one by one. Am I right, legal counsel? We'll do those one by one. All right. A, Mr. Lawrence of Fire.
For 30 days.
Second.
Ward 2 Fire Protection District Number 1. I had a motion by Mr. Latour to defer for 30 days, and I had a second by Mr. Landry. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carried. Item B, Ms.
to
Beverly
move to
Morton,
reappoint Ms.
Recreation
Beverly
District
Morton.
Number
Second.
1 of Ward 8. I have Mr. Latour acting that she be reappointed, and I have a second by Mr. Guillory. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carried. Item C.
Move to reappoint.
Mr. Rick Grant, Gravity Drainage District Number 5 of Ward 4. Mr. Farnham asks that Mr. Fitz be reappointed, and I had a second by Mr. McMillan. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carried. Item D, Mr.
Move to
James
reappoint.
Perry, Construction Drainage District Number 5 of Ward 4. I have a motion by Mr. Farnham to reappoint, and a second by Mr. Barris. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carried. Item E.
Move to
Mr.
reappoint.
Curtis Alexander,
Second.
Gravity Drainage District Number 5 of Ward 4. I have a motion by Mr. Gilley to reappoint, and I have a second by Mr. McMillan.
Yes.
Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. Item F, Mr. James A. Jenkins Sr., Lake Charles North Development Authority. I have a motion by Ms. Shelley. Was that to reappoint?
To appoint.
To appoint?
And Nifatieri Close.
Ms. Nefertiti, is that Clovis?
Yes.
All right. And I have a second by Mr. Guillory. I'm sorry, Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins gave me that look like you knew it was me. Sorry about that, Mr. Collins. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carried. Moving on to item number 15, consideration of proclaiming the week of May 7th through the 13th, 2017 as Women's Lung Health Week in Calcasieu Parish. I have a motion by Mr. Landry.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Latour. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. 16, consideration of adopting a resolution
So moved.
of condolences to be forwarded to the family of the late Dong Thai, Mr. J. Hong. Mr. Guillory. Mr. J is good.
Mr. J.
I just read what they put in front of me, Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say, I think we all know Mr. J from Peking Garden. He's been in there a long time. He used to always ask me, have you won the lottery yet? I'm going to come cook for you. But Mr. J is a very good guy, and I just want to definitely thank you all for doing this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Guillory. Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, Mr. J will definitely be missed. I remember my grandmother, Mrs. Hunter, was very particular about what restaurants we would go to, and Peking was on the okay list. When we would go for her birthday, he would always bring out the Long Life noodles. And I'll miss those times when he would come to the table and joke around with us. And I really enjoyed hearing the banter between those two because they both in the restaurant business for so many years. And I tell you, he was a good guy. He was full of culture. He was full of positivity. He always had a smile on his face. And I know his family's missing him, but not only his family, but the entire Lake Charles community. Definitely going to miss Mr. J. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Okay. Please review the items printed below for your consideration. The chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules to allow these items to be added to the agenda. I have a motion by Mr. Brain and a second by Mr. Latour. Are there any comments from the public on adding these items to the agenda? Hearing none? If none, we'll now vote on the motion to suspend the rules to add these items. All of those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ayes have it. Item number 1, consideration of adopting a resolution in opposition of the following bills of the 2017 regular legislative session to be forwarded to the Louisiana Police Jury Association, the Louisiana Municipal Association, and members of the Calcasieu Legislative Delegation.
Move to adopt both items.
Item 1. House Bill 386, Senate Bill 244, which would both provide local occupancy and sales tax exemptions, commonly called hotel motel taxes, for certain temporary workers' housing facilities. Number 2, Senate Bill 249, which would negatively impact funding for various coastal projects in Calcasieu Parish and southwest Louisiana. I have a motion by Mr. Fornum and a second by Mr. McMillan. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak on these items at this time? Seeing none? All in favor of these motions on the floor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Item number 2, consideration of the following actions
Move on B.
taken by
Move
Vice
forward.
President Brame on behalf of the police jury as a result of flooding on roadways and waterways within Calcasieu Parish. Item number 1, May 3rd, 2017, a local government proclamation of state of emergency was proclaimed as state of emergency to exist in Calcasieu Parish. Item number 2, May 4th, 2017, Executive Order 2017-01, which imposes a restriction on traffic exempt from commercial vessels, boats, and law enforcement vessels, boats, along the Calcasieu River north and east of I-10 bridge of the Calcasieu Parish line. I have a motion by Mr. White and a second by Mr. McMillan. If there, do we have speakers on this item? Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I have a member from Gravity Drainage, Mr. Matt Red. Would you please come forward, please? Yes. we have- All right, Mr. Ralph, when you can come up, please state your name and address for the record, sir. Well, you gave me-
Ralph Lewing, 2001 Charvet Drive, Lake Charles, Louisiana. And I'm here representing the Alliance for Positive Growth. I have the dubious task of chairing and co-chairing with Chris Corey, the Drainage Committee for the Alliance. And I've spent the last several months putting a lot of time in trying to study drainage and to understand the issues that we have here. But what we're here for, and some of the board members are here, is one, is to thank you guys for your efforts. I know drainage and flooding is on everybody's mind right now, and it's a big issue, and the magnitude of it is overwhelming after I really started looking into it. I just wanted to say that the Alliance is here to help and to work with the jury and administration in any way that we can to help you guys, especially on things like Mr. Brain has put forth. We know it's an issue, and we're here to let y'all know that we want to be part of the solution. We're here to give you our efforts to to try and help resolve this. We know it's a big task. It's a 100-year-old problem, and I didn't realize how far back it went till I started studying it. And I know a lot of you guys know more than I probably do about it, but it's a big deal, and it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work from the jurors and a discussion that me and Mr. Brame had earlier. It's going to take a lot of work from the citizens of Calcasieu Parish to step up and help get this done. But more than anything is, I want administration and the jurors to know that we are here to be part of the solution to help you guys in any way that we can. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Ralph, we appreciate you coming before us and speaking. Anything we can do to also assist you guys in whatever it is that you guys may be doing, please, by all means, let us know.
Well, we've had some really good meetings with Mr. Wainwright, and just trying to get information and see what, and the more you talk about it and the more you study it, the more you know that it's going to take a lot of effort. But
We
thank
appreciate what
and-
you guys doing.
And
Most
thank you
definitely.
for staff, the effort the staff has put into it.
Thank you so much. I have a second speaker. It's Mr. Matt Red here. Thank you, guys. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Matt Red, 1424 Ryan Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Judd, I put my coat on for you today. No, thank y'all, as a member of the board for Alliance for Positive Growth. We're real excited about the opportunity to help impact ordinances and things that, to make a positive impact in our parish. In the short time that we've been involved or gotten together, we've got 125 businesses that have put together the funds to support our efforts. And we're here to drainage has become front and center for us, and we're here to let you know, as Ralph said, we want to work with you, we work with administration to fix this problem, because it is a very big problem. I mean, just today, I was at a property that we built, last year, and I've got, a 2-acre laydown yard full of water. And as you drive through there, and how it's in your district, coincidentally, but you go through it and it's locked up at one point, and it's flooding acres and acres and acres of land, not just this project's land, but several, I'm not going to say hundreds of acres, but a lot of property was underwater and roads and so forth, and it was one culvert. And so we literally went and got a drone, flew over it, and looked at it, and it's obvious where the problems are. And so we really want to encourage you guys to work with us. We're here to work with you. We've got our resources to start studying this and looking at it. And before we go reacting to these small problems, or we see these things in town, I'm not asking you to pull the emergency brake. I'm asking you to pump the brakes. Let's really look at what the true problem is. Let's study the real problem in the parish. It's a parish-wide problem. It's not a city's problem. It's not this bonding district's problem. It's all of our problems. And we have got to look at the whole picture before we go out and start passing ordinances or building special projects to fix one little piece over here or one little piece over there. And we're all for fixing it. We're all for y'all taking y'all's dollars and y'all's resources and our dollars and our resources to go after this. But we have got to do this smartly. We've got to be strategic about it. And this is not just for us. This is for our kids. This is for our grandkids. And our group is here because we're serious about it. And I'm glad we got y'all's attention, because we're on it. And we're going to be paying attention to this, and we want to work and continue to have the conversations that we've had with the staff over the last few weeks, and the conversations we've had with the jury members. We have got to fix this as a community, and not as a piece over here and a piece over there. And so with that said, our group is excited for the opportunity to continue to work with y'all. Thank you. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, man. Just stay right there. We have a couple of jurors that I think want to have some comments. Mr. Hunter?
No, me.
Oh, Mr. Brame?
Yeah. Do I look like?
Yeah, you grew some hair.
Not much.
I don't have any grays, though.
I'm not touching that.
Well, Matt, I lost my train of thought with all that, but,
I know.
I guess your comment with, that y'all are, want to work with us, and I kind of really lost my train of thought, but we're here to work with y'all, and it's not a police jury issue. It's not something that we need to tackle as a police jury. It's something that the community needs to tackle, and y'all's input is just as important to us as our input to y'all is as important. So, and you're right when you said it's not a city of Lake Charles, City Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Corliss, it's not, it's everybody's problem. So, I know the 15 jurors up here are all willing to work and communicate and keep the open line of communication open to where, we do it right. We don't want to just go at something and not, like you said, piece by piece by piece. We want to look at the big picture and do it right. So I just appreciate your comments, appreciate y'all's willingness to, not come at us as far as saying, no, we're going to push back on y'all and not let y'all do this and that. It's more of, let's work together on it. And that's the way I see it, so I guess that's just the comment I wanted to make, that we're here willing to listen and work with y'all, and we all need to work together. That's really the bottom line, because the whole drainage problem it affects everyone. So that's my comment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Vice President Brame. Mr. McMillan?
Thank you, Mr. Red. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate your group and what you're going to be doing. There's nothing more sad than what we saw yesterday with that much rain that quick, and to see homes that had never had water in them have water in them like they did, a number of them in my district. So we are going to work with our staff. We are going to work with everybody in the parish, and having this group to come have our back, to help us, to have input, I think it's going to be a win-win situation for all of us. One other thing I want to do on the item 2, Kevin, or Mr. President, while I'm visiting, that's going to affect contraband days. We really need to get it out to the people that this executive order and then closing the river that we're going to be imposing, there's going to be a lot of boats on the river for contraband days. We want to make sure people are safe, and that's why we're doing this. We've got high water situations. We got people's homes that are in peril with this high water. We understand it's going to be a beautiful weekend. A lot of people are going to want to be out in their boats. We've got, as a jury, to err on the side of safety, and I feel that's what we're doing with that executive order, to make sure that the northern part of that river is closed off. Please, the folks that are going to be out there in your boats over the weekends, wear your life jackets, be safe, and understand you're responsible for your wake. And there's going to be a lot of folks very near to flooding with the homes, where the water's going to be coming down from the north. So both these resolutions that we're looking at tonight, acting on tonight, are very important to this parish. Any way that a local media can help us get out to the people that are going to be enjoying the contraband days, that be safe on the river. And on the northern part of the river, please don't have any boat traffic up there. That would be a win-win for us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Millen. I just want to add a little bit to that. As a governing body, we always want to err on the side of safety for our citizens and for our people that come and visit with us, because it's just something, you can have fun, but this is something that needs to be done for the safety of our citizens. And I agree with you, Mr. McMillan. Mr. White?
It's just a quick statement about your group and the staff you got working with y'all's group as well. One of the things that I like about y'all's name, it's positive growth. And that's exactly what the police jury is doing as well. We would like to see positive growth in areas, and having a group of y'all's nature helping us move forward with positive growth in all aspects, drainage to new businesses coming into the area. We welcome the input from y'all's group. And thank y'all for what y'all have done. Asking me questions, me asking y'all's questions, the communication line that I have with y'all's group, it's been a good thing for me as a new juror. and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
And if I can comment, I mean, all growth isn't necessarily positive, okay? And we certainly recognize that. And we're not just some organization of developers trying to do one specific thing. We're here to truly look at and put in place and work with not only this parish, but with the municipalities to put the right steps in place where the growth can occur in the right way. And we all know, and we can sit here and talk in back rooms about things that aren't right. Well, let's expose it. Let's talk about it. Let's have an open discussion about it to where the developers, the attorneys in town, and everybody can come together and do the right thing. And we've been kicking the can down the road for too long. We've got all this industrial development going on in our town that has brought to light opportunity, and we have got to embrace it and go down the road that we all know we need to go down. And it's going to take smart, right approach to do that, from drainage to ordinance with dealing with Wes, and he and I are arm wrestling over a variance for what are we talking about now? A radius for a driveway entrance. I mean, it's encompassing everything. But we're truly here tonight to talk about this drainage issue, which it happened yesterday, but it's happened many times in the past. And there's the right way to approach it. We're here to help y'all, and we want to do the right things to do to fix it, but we don't want to just haphazardly start passing ordinances or building things that maybe not be the smart way to do it. Let's take a 30,000-foot look at it and really do it right. And we're here we've got y'all's back to do that. We've got the administration's back to do that. We're bringing the business community to do it. And so let's fix it.
Man, we got a few more questions from the jurors. Mr. Barris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll echo everyone's appreciation of you guys assembling and organizing. I encourage you guys to keep the conversation going. We learn something every time I talk to staff. Every little detail, every little issue that comes up. I mean, every time it rains, I learn something. Something new, the whys and the hows. And, sometimes something on the surface may look a certain way, but when you go back and you kind of scratch it a little bit, there's reasons for a lot of this stuff. And just ask those questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. They're not afraid to answer you. But keep y'all's conversation going, the conversation going. If drainage is a big deal with you guys, also, I would encourage you guys and staff, I'm sure they can give you a list of all the gravity drainage board meetings. Show up there, because a lot of that stuff happens, all the drainage problems aren't just street side ditches. Okay, we've got we've got miles and miles of drainage laterals, especially like in my neck of the woods, Mr. White, Shaylin Latour's. So look at it from that aspect, 30,000 foot, get way up. And also I would encourage you to your organization to police your own membership, just like we try to do ourselves, and everybody stay on the right path and do the right things for the right reasons. I would hope that your members, if y'all somebody sees that, hey, this is the third development like this or whatever, and somebody says, hey, you kind of keep everybody. I guess, have a standard, and I know you all do, but make it kind of like an honor to be in this, included in this organization. It's like you're the premier of all of your service lines. So good luck, and I look forward to working with your group. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Barris. One last speaker, Mr. Landry.
Just make a comment that, just make sure that everybody knows the things that we're doing with drainage is not a knee-jerk reaction. This has been going on for 3 years. And I know a lot of people hadn't been involved all along the way, but it's been going on for quite some time. And the staff has taken their time for a reason. Number one, this is a very complicated issue. There's no easy answer. And they're taking their time, and they know it's got to be right. And of course, I know you're close. Where are we on the ordinances? Within a month or so? I mean, I know you're working, and y'all are getting feedback, I know you're getting feedback, and y'all are making some changes and doing those type of things, so I know there's no timeline, it's gonna happen when it's gonna happen, but, you know, they're working as fast as they can, but at the end of the day, it's gotta be right. I mean, we don't wanna rush through anything, and not everybody's gonna be happy at the end of the day, because nobody gets everything they want. But hopefully, it's gonna be a good product at the end of the day, that's gonna solve the problem. I mean, that's what the people are interested in seeing, and I think we owe that to them. So, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. Mr. Mayor, I think that's all the questions we have. We thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Coming out and visiting with us. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
thank y'all.
At this time,
Kevin, you got his hand up.
Could I make one comment?
come on back up, Mr. Ralph.
Just to kind of reinforce some of the things that Matt said, that, you know, we have over 125 businesses that you know, represents the general membership of 475 people, but like my drainage committee, you know, I have engineers, I have people that have sat on drainage boards before, people that have studied drainage. So, you know, we're taking a very positive approach to this, and it's not like, and Alan can attest to that, you know, it's not like we're bringing to the table just what we feel. I mean, we're bringing to the table specifics and technical data. And, you know, it's like I said before, I spent almost 4 months studying the whole history of drainage in Calcasieu Parish, not just Lake Charles or Westlake or the river, but all the way from up at Beauregard Parish and Allen Parish and all the watersheds that drain into Calcasieu Parish and all the tidal issues we have. I've set out through several hurricanes here and seen what the water does. I drove around yesterday to visualize some of the things that were impacting us and some of my job sites and some of my properties that were impacted. So we are taking this just as serious as you guys are. And we understand that you're not making any knee-jerk reactions. It's just that, you know, we had the opportunity to start accumulating this data and to try and get our feet on the ground on it. And, you know, I don't want anybody to be alluded to the fact that you know, we're insinuating anything. I think more than anything is what we're asking probably is for everybody to take a good hard look at this, you know, because it's a big deal. I mean, it goes back 100 years. It goes back to 1920, whenever they dug out the river the first time. You know, I mean, that's when our drainage problems started. Then 1950, when they straightened out the river and dug the ship channel, then they really, the magnitude of that, I mean, it multiplied the effect of the tidal surges that we have to deal with. And so that was really the beginning of it. And then, of course, they realized part of their mistake and they built the saltwater barrier. But this thing is huge, and it's going to take more than just a few detention ponds to straighten this out. Put it to you like that. I mean, and I think that if you sit down with staff, they will tell you that. I mean, we've had some good conversations with staff over this, and the more you have it, the more it throws you back, you know, saying, man, I mean, can we really resolve this? And somebody asked me the other day, said, you know, what is your main intention? I said, my main intention right now is to keep people's homes from flooding. I said, people are going to have to accept the fact that their streets are going to flood. You're not going to stop that. And that's one of the things that we talked to Alan about, was we got to educate the community. We got to make them understand that, you know, when we get a 4-inch rain in 30 minutes or 45 minutes like we can here, the streets are going to flood. There's nothing that Mr. Brame can do about it, Mr. Landry, or anybody can do about it. Streets are going to flood. Most of the streets in our municipalities and our areas were designed to flood. They're curb and gutter. That's the reason they call it curb and gutter. They're designed to drain the water away. And the community is going to have to make an effort to join in on this, because a lot of these issues that we're dealing with spot flooding, is because of ditches stopped up, culverts stopped up, and there's going to come a time when landowners are going to have to take ownership on this. So they're going to have to take some of the responsibility for helping to keep these things cleared out. And so it's a big deal. And I think that's more than anything why Matt was saying that, you know, we got to step back and take a hard look at this, especially on some of the ordinances and things like that, because we attended the meetings that staff had. They were very informative, very well put together, and there was a lot of good questions that come out of it. Can this be put together in 30 days? I don't think so. I think there's still some questions to be answered, because some of the things that you know, we're talking about is really going to impact development. It's going to impact the cost of development back to homeowners. It's going to put a lot of liability on some people that are not going to want to assume that liability. So there's a lot of things that need to be discussed. We left a 4 points that we had discussed with Alan, that, you know, they're going to generate some answers on, and we're trying to be very positive about this, and it's a big deal, and I think part of this is for us, and the reason why we made a big push on this is that we know the community is upset, we know they want something done, you know, but they're going to have to be patient. They're going to have to be patient, because it is a big deal, and that's it. You know, and if you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer them.
Ralph, we see your passion and your commitment to this, and as a governing body, like I said earlier, we want to work with you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Brent Lumpkin, you were smiling at me. Did you want to come up and say anything?
I've enjoyed the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. At this time, I would like to call on Mr. Dick Grimillard. Mr. Grimillard, please state your name and position with the parish, sir.
Dick Grimillard, Director, Calcasieu Parish Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of things that Mr. McMillan and Mr. Guidry pointed out. The restriction of traffic on the river is going to be an inconvenience this weekend. We realize that, but we have to recognize that our major concern is life first and then property. And we always keep that in mind. We had some discussions with the sheriff. The sheriff is committed to, Sheriff Mezcuso is committed to having some officers patrol the water out in the area to make sure that people are operating in a safe manner. There's a lot of debris out there. The current is strong. Average person really underestimates the power of water like that. So that's our major concern is human life. The last time we did this, which was only 30 days ago, we got a lot of complaints about commercial traffic. Now, we have no jurisdiction, the parish government has no jurisdiction over commercial traffic. That is the U.S. Coast Guard. We had some discussion with the Coast Guard today. We've provided them with a copy of our proclamation, our copy of our restriction orders. They will take those under consideration. But bear in mind, particularly on the Calcasieu River, there's some increased activity up that way. There's a couple of oil terminals now that have gotten more active. Barges are going to be coming and going from those locations. We just want the public to know there's not anything the police jury can do except express our advice to the Coast Guard, which we've already done. One other thing, as you know, yesterday you may have seen that we assisted in evacuating a nursing home. A key citizen with our transit division was instrumental in helping get some drivers, and I can tell you that those drivers treated those residents of the nursing home with ultimate care and compassion, and we couldn't have done that without them. I just wanted to recognize them. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to comment on what you just said, Mr. Grimillard, on Mr. Keith Citizen, and I would like for Mr. Terry Palik to definitely tell him how much we appreciate it. He was in constant contact with me. Some of the patients there was bedridden, and they had to have ambulance to come and pick them up. But all the other patients, he got them out and did a great job, and I want to applaud that whole division of transportation and their drivers. They did an outstanding job. They really did. And I hope that you can pass that on to him.
And we had to call them out in all that bad weather
Yes.
to help us out, but they were right there.
Thank you so much. At this time, Mr. McMillan.
And Dick, thank you again. I want to reiterate that also, but all our public works did a great job yesterday. Had a number of calls, people going down roads. We did barricades on roads. The sheriff's department was stressed out with all the people running through the water. Thank you for what you did with OAP, as well as all our public servants that were out there yesterday. There is a rumor out there that the saltwater barrier was closed, that the gates were closed at the saltwater barrier. Can you shed any light on that?
I don't have any information on that.
I don't see how it
I would
could
kind of
be.
doubt that, but
Yeah. But I wanted
now-
the confirmation, but that was a call I got right before. I'm sure it's wide open.
well, I talked to Mr. White last night, and the river did come up probably 4 feet yesterday, but that was because we got 12 to 16 inches of rain in that area up there. So when you get that much rain, there's nowhere else for it to go.
Right. If you could maybe make a call and
I'll
get back with me.
check on it, yes,
I want
sir.
to make sure you get that out to the media. That's just a rumor. I
Sure
don't see
will.
how they would have that.
As you know, though, when the water reaches a certain level, it's going to come over those floodgates over there, so I'm not sure that that's a significant impediment.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. White, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I've gotten some calls on some of the residents up on the West Fork that have concerns on wanting the website updated for river tides, what it's going to crest at, because there's a lot of homeowners over there that are looking at that site to see what they need to prepare for, and the site hasn't been updated. So I'd just like to see if you
Yeah,
can check into that as well.
Unfortunately, we only have, or when I say we, there's only one site available on the West Fork for the National Weather Service, and that's the gauge at Sam Houston Jones State Park. So I will talk to the Weather Service about that and see. We've put a new gauge out at White Oak Park, and they're still trying to calibrate that. Alan probably has more information about that than I do, but yes, sir, I'll check.
Thank y'all for all y'all did, by the way.
Thank you, Mr. White. And again, thank you, Mr. Cremier, for that report. We appreciate it. Thank you. I had a motion by Mr. McMillan. I had a motion by Mr. White and a second by Mr. McMillan. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this item? All in favor of the motion on the floor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 2 passes.
I'm referred to as B.
Personal privilege.
Item number 18, June 2017 advised items. At this time, I would like to call on Mr. Nick Hunter for a personal privilege. Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, to the police jurors here and everyone in the audience, I want to let everyone know that as of today, I did sign a letter of resignation to the police jury because of the results of the mayoral election last Saturday. I'll allow Mr. Bean to maybe speak to a moment as to the future for this seat. But, you know, you're supposed to jot down a few thoughts when something like this happens, and I really didn't do that. I just thought I would kind of speak from the heart for a moment. And there's a couple of people that are in the audience here that before I say anything, I want to point out, and the first one's my wife, Becky. Becky's the love of my life. She's my best friend. We have fun together, and I could not have done this without you. So thank you, Becky. I love you very much. Also, Dr. Charles Mackey is here, my mentor, my inspiration, filled this seat before me, and Dr. Mackey's been great to me over the years, and who knows, maybe we'll see him in the future. And to my fellow jurors, this has been an experience. I've learned so much being on this jury. I learned something from every one of you, and not only the people that are here, but the people from the last term as well. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's here tonight. It really has been an honor to serve with y'all. And the great thing about democracy, the great thing about politics is we don't always agree on things, and that's okay. But one thing I'm very confident saying, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is that we have 15 people up here that really care about Calcasieu Parish. We have 15 people up here that care about their communities, that care about their neighborhoods. We have people up here that are sitting in these chairs who are in this for the right reasons. And I'm sitting next to some very quality people, and it has absolutely been an honor to serve with every one of you, and I have great respect for every one of you. And I ask for your prayers, and I ask for your support in the future. And to staff, Mr. Bean, Mr. Boland, Jessica, I've already had some people ask if I can try and steal some staff, but I'm not going to do that to you. I do want to say that the professionalism of the police jury is second to none. The wisdom of the staff here, the ability for staff to answer a question, to get a resolution quickly is second to none. And it has been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. And I consider the wisdom and the knowledge I gained from you all to be something that's going to carry me throughout the rest of my life. So thank you. Moving forward, again, I ask for all of your prayers and support, and I'm humbled to be where I am, and I thank you all very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. I'll go first. I just want to say it's been a pleasure serving with you, Nick. When you came on, the one thing that I really liked about you and enjoyed about you was that you were very professional, and that's something that goes a very, very long way. And the thing that I'm thinking in the back of my mind, we have somewhat of an advantage because you've sat in this seat to when we go to meetings and meet with the city, which we have a number of times, Brian, myself, Dane, and a number of the jurors, you're going to understand, I think, better as to the scope of what we're trying to do as a governing body. And I think that that's going to be real instrumental in us working together on a lot of projects, because we've done a lot of projects in the past before, the city and parish. But I just think that you're going to have a good look at what we do because of sitting where you've sat at for these number of years. And I just want to say we're going to miss you, but I mean, change is good sometime, Nick. And we're hoping that the best for you, and we want you to know that we're here for you if you need us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
At this time, I call on my vice, Mr. Breen.
I guess we're gonna miss you. No, Nick, just congratulations, first of all, on winning the race. I enjoyed serving with you on the police jury the last 6 years. And I'm very thrilled that you're gonna be in the mayor's office. So hoping that one of the things that you have in mind and a priority is that the city and the city government and parish government can actually start working together. Not that we don't now, but hopefully that can improve. And with you in there, you know, kind of being on the police jury, you know what we've been doing for the time you've been here, and that we can just work together. So with that said, just congratulations, enjoyed working with you, and we'll be praying for you and just keeping you in line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice. Mr. Latour.
Well, Nick, it's been a pleasure. Ever since you came on, you've been coaching me along. I've been bugging you. I'm sure Mr. Landry's getting tired of me. Hey, what am I going to do right here? So it's been a pleasure. You and Becky have been really great to me and Jessica, and I look forward to, still doing things with you and seeing you on that end, and I just want to tell you congratulations, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate it,
Mr.
man.
Latour.
Thank you.
Mr. McMillan.
Thank you, Nick. I'm 5 years' experience on the police jury. I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Listen to Becky. Listen to Becky. She will help you. She'll be your best friend, your soulmate, and she'll get you through some tough times. You said something in your acceptance speech I was very proud of. The city was somewhat divided. You can win on 50% plus one, but you want to see Lake Charles become 100% whole, and I'm thrilled with that. So congratulations. I feel confident you're going to be a great mayor, and we're thrilled that you're going to be in the mayor. We look forward to working with you. Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mr. McMillan. Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations, Nick, and I want to make sure, once again, we've spoke a number of times. I'm here for you. We're going to work with you and look forward to it as well. And I know some good things are going to happen. And I'd ask that all my colleagues, let's give Nick a round of applause.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
See you later.
Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nick, I've grown to know you quite well in the last 6 years. That I don't know if we knew each other before you got on the jury, maybe not at all. But I've I know you're a person that wasn't tugged easily in one direction or another. You thought for yourself. You weighed the issues out and made good, sound decisions in every case. So I really appreciate that quality in you, and I know that that'll be something that you carry into the mayor's office, and you're going to look at all the big picture and not pigeonhole yourself into one place. So I think that's a great quality that you're going to carry in there. Going to miss you over here. We had good conversations from time to time, and I look forward to future conversations, and good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Barris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remember back in around 1996, 97, we were shooting commercials for Hunter's Harlequin, and we showed up around noon to set up, and they said, well, the owner will be here in a moment, so just go ahead and get where you want to be. He's in class right now. And I'm like, oh, so he goes to McNeese? No. Barb? St. Louis, yeah. St. Louis, what? And so anyway, it's impressive, you know, to see from that kid that just, you know, early out of school that day or whatever to get there to film this commercial and tell us what he wanted done. I'll never forget it. He knew exactly what he wanted. And, you know, you were 17, 18 years old, I guess. But, you know, to fast forward to now, it's impressive. And, you know, I learned a lot from you in conversation. And, you know, you said you learned a lot from the jurors. I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Everything Hal told you, file 13.
That's a good one. Hal told me you were a good guy.
There we go. Kudos. Always believe what Hal said.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, Judge. Thank you.
Is there any other jurors that I may have missed? Oh, Mr. Guillory.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nick, I just want to say it's been great sitting next to you, and ever since you made the runoff, and I've always asked that you be the mayor for the whole city. And that's been my whole thing the whole time with you all. And that's one of my key things on everything, every issue. So just be a mayor for the whole city, Nick. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Guillory. Mr. White.
Nick, it was a pleasure working with you here. I know the future of Lake Charles is going to be bright with you in the seat. It's going to be a hot seat for a while for you, but I know you can handle it, and good luck with it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Scott.
Yeah, Nick, it's been a privilege. You know, they say you learn two ways, through experience or through tribulation. You know, being on this jury, I think you got a little bit of both. So I can just say that the integrity of your office can only measure up with the integrity of the man. And I know you to be that man, so God bless you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Did I miss anyone? Well, I can tell you for a fact that just real quick, that Mr. Hunter is going to be a great mayor. Before the meeting, he told me to announce that for everyone attending the meeting tonight and all the jurors, that dinner would be on him at the Harlequin Steakhouse, 7 p.m. He's got the room in the back reserved for all of us. We'll see you there, man. That's what we do. We're one big family, guys. I have another point of first appearance by Mr. McMillan.
Yes, this weekend or last weekend, we were fortunate to get the air show in, and Chanel did a wonderful job, and a lot of people from the parish and throughout Southwest Louisiana volunteered and did a great job with the air show. And I know we may recognize there have been a later date, but while it was still fresh on my mind, I wanted to say thank you to the people that organized it, to the folks they brought here were first-class folks across the board. And if you missed it, shame on you, you should have been out there. Saturday's show was a low-fly show, and the Thunderbirds got to fly the high show on Sunday. It was great for Southwest Louisiana. That's what it's about, and what we do is quality of life a lot of times, and that brought a lot of quality of life. And it impressed a lot of young kids, no telling what kind of aviators we may have coming out of Southwest Louisiana, because we were able to be a part of the air show. So thrilled to do that. By the way, I was supposed to parachute with the Golden Knights on Saturday, but there was a 40-mile-an-hour wind and a 2,000-foot ceiling. I know a lot of y'all may would like see me still jump, but I didn't get to jump, but Mary Jo Bells did get to jump on Sunday. So the air show was a success, and thanks for all the folks.
But Mr. McMillan, if I'm not mistaken, they did go up that Sunday,
Yes.
the Golden Knights.
Yeah, they
It
had
was
another
clear.
lady. They had another lady that was on Sunday that they jumped with.
Oh,
My day was Saturday.
oh, okay.
My wife prayed for bad weather.
I was praying for
There was a
sunshine.
glare issue too.
I packed a chute for him.
A lot of volunteers to do
We did it right.
We all was there. I tell you, that was the most attended function by.
That wasn't a shoot, that was a shrimp net.
That I've seen in quite some time, and we had a great time. I'll call on Mr. Forman at this time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I also attended both days at the air show, and there was a lot of people out there when nobody gave that a chance. Mary Jo Bales has been the director of that air show for the past 2 years. She did a wonderful job of pulling everything together, keeping it all glued together, and it was spectacular. I guess I got raccoon eyes because of the last day of sun, the half a day of sun that we had on Sunday, but it was a wonderful event, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. And the parish was a big part of that. So thank you to the staff and this jury for helping put that on.
Did a great job. At this time, I'll bring forth to you the best parish administrator in all the state of Louisiana, Mr. Brian Beam.
I feel like I got to say something really important. I want to get back just for a moment. Nick alluded to it. I can kind of briefly cover what occurs from here on out. Before I do, though, if you'll allow me, Mr. President, I also want to thank Nick for his service. I've enjoyed working. I enjoy working with all y'all. Nick has, especially for somebody his age, he's very civic-minded, and I worry a lot, frankly, about that, not just for our area or state, but the whole country. There is a need for more people to understand what it means to be a citizen and those rights, but also those obligations. Nick understands that, and I also appreciate he has a love of history. Nick is very focused on that. It can't answer all your questions, but it is amazing how much that you can apply things that others have learned, and we should build on that. And the fact that Lake Charles is celebrating its 150th year, it's been a lot of good things, and Nick will be coming into that. This is all new, a lot of this growth we've never seen, certainly not in our lifetimes, and going to need some good leadership. But I just want to thank you, Nick, for that service. For the jury, as far as what has to happen, the state law requires that you have 20 days after a vacancy is declared to fill the seat for now and then call a special election because there are more than 18 months left in Mr. Hunter's term. I think officially it'll be tomorrow, as Mr. Hunter said. We have to tell the Secretary of State. They will give us the official timeline, but what we anticipate is having 2 items on your agenda for May 18th. First would be to appoint a replacement for Nick for now, and then also to call a special election for what would be October 14th. That is a set election date already. Luckily, there is an item already on the ballot that every poll will be open, and that is the state treasurer's position, which was also vacated by now Senator Kennedy. So there's some formalities, but I think we'll be able to put something before you on the 18th where you will handle both of those and get that ball rolling, and then go from there. But if anybody has any questions, certainly can.
Just one, a point of clarification, Mr. Beam. The person that's appointed to this seat cannot run for that seat. Am I correct in saying that?
No, they can run.
They can, okay. Any other questions from the jury? From Mr. Beam? Mr. Landry?
I'll just make a comment.
Comment.
But we may ask them not to, as a condition of them being
Yes, that-
appointed to
Okay.
the seat.
Okay.
That's normally
Okay.
what's
Well,
been done in the
That's what I'm,
past.
okay. Very well said, Mr. Landry.
And at times, that promise has been broken. If you go back far enough, but we're not going to talk about that.
Okay, that's for another day. Mr. Hunter?
Thank you, Mr. President. Regarding the offer for dinner at the Harlequin with everybody, Mr. Guidry, I'm going to need an updated credit card number. The one we have on file for you didn't go through the last time. So if you could provide that before the evening, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got me, Dick. You got me, Dick.
Any other comments by the jury? At this time, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Mitchell. We're now adjourned.